So let me talk a bit about the passage of time. In the passage of time, basically, we are going to find out what happens to our characters between where we left them as children, as age 15 or 16, and when they are going to reach adulthood. We can decide together what age that we want to target with this. And so we can imagine like quite a lot is going to happen during this time that is going to change our characters' lives, and we can be daring in deciding to change our characters' lives. To do this, first thing we got to do is decide how much time we want to pass. So the minimum amount of time that can pass is until everyone is 18, so that would be 3 years. But we can go further than that as well if we want to like move into our early 20s too. What do we all feeling?
Like
Uh,
early 20s,
yeah.
especially because like
Mm-hmm.
at this 15, we're like, oh my God, early
Mm-hmm.
20s, that's so old.
Yeah. Tom's like,
So
Uh,
oh
old.
man. Yeah. Um, for sure. Yeah. Maybe we should go to 21, iconically. Yeah, and I feel like
Yeah.
that'll cover a lot of change in our characters' lives. Awesome. So from 15 to 21, that's 6 years. All right. So we're going to explore what happens over the next 6 years.
I'm worried.
Yeah, I'm a little worried too. In the passage of time, we're each going to initiate one scene and one vignette. It's going to be showing what our characters are doing that time, and write one or two letters as well. In the full game, you write a few more letters, but just to keep ours a bit in scope. We don't have to go in time order, but we can jump around according to like significant events that we can conceive of, in our characters' lives. And when you set your scene or vignette, you have a number of options to choose from. You can have a scene or vignette about your bosom enemy, and you actually mark the results of that on your tracker. You can have a scene or vignette about the way your bosom enemy has changed you. You can have a scene or vignette about your castle in the air. Or you can pay a resolve token to have a scene or vignette about something else. Or you can also have a weather interlude. What those are is they are some more like introspective vignettes that are set around certain times of day or weather, where the mood of the moment you're going to see mirrors the outside mood of the world. Like dawn, a monologue about new hope. Dusk, a monologue about things that will never be. Have a think about what might happen to your character during this time. And when you have an idea in mind,
Could I pay a resolve token to do a vignette about something else?
absolutely.
It's George. He is wearing his best clothes that he had from before. They're a little small because he's grown a bit. But it's not that far from before. He's probably at this point in time 16 going on 17. Um, and he is in Boston. He's taken the train and he's got like a stack of papers, right? Like in a booklet that he's holding on to him. It looks like one of his sketchbooks. And he's waiting, and you can see him in front of like the office of probably somebody important. He's led in, and it is one of the people that was one of his parents' friends, from sort of society in Boston. And it's a woman. She's a society matron. She's one of those people who, is a mover and shaker and an influencer. And it took him a while to get her to see him. And you see him handing over this booklet, and she opens it, and it's the sketches from the play, all of the costuming that Isaac had done. And you can see a sort of an animated George spinning these like dreams about Isaac and how great he is, and how if only she might see him, he could make her something that would be amazing. And like you can see him, like he kind of spent what he had to sort of do this because he knew that it mattered to Isaac, and Isaac helped him out. And you see him sort of leaving, putting his little hat on, and hoping that leaving the sketches with her as he makes his way back to Arlingham.
I mean, this is probably a great intro for then the first vignette without a resolve token. And I really like the idea, like the weather interludes. So like we have there is a storm overhead, the sounds of like window panes being slapped against the walls, the din of the rain as it pours from the sky. It's that din that matches the outside and the inside, because inside of this small house, I think Isaac's parents, aunts, uncles are all yelling. There is an argument about how Isaac has no right to leave this house to go somewhere else and work and not support the family. The idea that this letter that he received, it was beautiful paper, like it had a little stamp with the wax, super wonderful, like a gorgeous wax seal. Like the paper itself felt more expensive than the past few things that we've bought, like in terms of our food for a while. So it felt insulting. And Isaac is, for the first time in his life, he is yelling back. He is mustering up the first like beginnings of a backbone, and there's a lot of back and forth, and I think he's cowed. Like he's reduced to a very small version of himself with the intensity of the parents and other family figures. But this will be the very first time that we see ideas of a change within him. Who wants to go next?
I also have a vignette. I think this one is a bit later. So Mariana is 18. She has finished with college. She could have stayed like to do the third year and get the like actual bit of paper that said that she's got a degree, not a full degree. She has a liberal arts education.
Yes.
But there was no point. And her parents saw no point in this. And so much to her reluctance, not because of her love of learning, but because she likes it here, they have pulled her back to Boston. And I think we see her like she's sitting at the window in like their Boston kind of penthouse situation, which kind of like looks out over the city. From the top, there isn't that much else that's that high, so it's kind of like a clear view, but then like you can see her looking down, and like the streets around there is like packed full of people. The traffic in this part of Boston is terrible. There's like horses trying to get past other horses, and like hansom cabs bumping up against each other. But she's in this space that's very, very quiet and still, like space inside, looking down at it all, and like the window is kind of like separating her from all of it. And I think she's writing a letter. I think she's writing a letter to George. So I think she's halfway through this letter. It's much longer than her like anything she's ever written previously, because now they're physically separated. Writing, she's like on her fourth or fifth like piece of paper when there's like a knock on the door, and her mother comes in and is like, "You have to come down, darling, because Frederick is here." And she's like, "Why does that mean I have to come down?" And her mother's like, "Just come down and be nice." So she's like, "Oh, okay." So she like goes down the stairs, and I think the last thing we see of her is walking into the room, and it's like her parents and Tom and Frederick, and it's just she wasn't expecting the situation, and it's just I think she just sighs and like takes a seat. Her thoughtful contemplation that she was writing to George with go like blank, and kind of just be left with like a blank pleasant nothingness in her eyes, right? I think that was overcast.
It's pretty overcast.
Yes, that was very overcast. So you're totally right. Yes, definitely overcast.
Audience, overcast means a broody or contemplative vignette or monologue about a difficult question.
Yes, no, that's exactly what it was.
I felt the brooding.
I have a vignette, and I'm not sure which category it falls under. It could either be a vignette about your bosom enemy, or it could be a weather interlude. It is still dark out, and Ida is dressed in travel clothing, maybe just gotten to the station. She's kind of sitting beside her father, and then when she gets off, she takes her little suitcase and then she hugs her father, and then like gives him a determined nod, and then turns and heads into the station. And then we kind of cut to her sitting on the train, is chugging along, and you hear that like chug, 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 chug in the background. And then there's just a little bit of movement as she's bobbing to the train rolling along. And then she sees the scenery just rolling behind her. And she remembers the first time that she got on the train. And she's thinking back to all of those girls and the way that they treated her. But she then looks at the window, and instead of looking outside, she looks at her reflection in it. And she sees her perfectly coiffed curls. And she just kind of brushes it back. There's a moment where she also thinks about George and all of the times where she feels like George has been her competition. And she thinks to herself that that was just girlhood silliness. And that's behind her now, because now she has some real rivals to contend with. And there's a steely glint in her eyes. And then as she kind of like looks ahead, we kind of get the light coming from the window as the dawn breaks.
I think Isaac's probably about 20. Spent a harsh 4 years in our town of Arlingham, and this scene, it's kind of like a zoom in on a letter being written, and it's rough scratch. Isaac's left-handed, so like the ink kind of smears a little bit as he writes, and it's a letter to his family. As the camera kind of zooms out, it's the room is lit by a candle, and it's a room that's definitely not back home. This is a very small room in Boston, and the letter that he writes is to my family and to those who still love me. I have run away 3 months ago, and I believe that enough time has passed that I can safely communicate my apology. I didn't feel like this home that you've raised me, that you have taken me in, was truly a place that I got to be myself. That letter that I received 4 years ago from the kindness of a friend, I held on to that letter. And finally, when the time felt right, I ran away, and I ran all the way to Boston. Things were rough for the first 2 months, but by the third, they took me in. I'm an apprentice. I'm starting at the bottom, and it's really, really tough trying to take orders when I feel like I know more than they do, but I'm going to be making money soon. And as soon as I can, I promise to send some funds back. I still love you. I hope you love me too. Sincerely, Isaac. It's positive. It's a dream. The dream is happening.
When did Ida head to Boston?
Around 17 or 18.
Assuming that Mariana like arrived in Boston before Ida, Mariana is going to write to Ida. Oh, Ida, you do not know how pleased I am to hear that you have arrived. Finally, someone in the city I can count as a true friend. I have been given no end of frustration by the girls that I knew at college back here. They seem almost as changed people. They have but one obsession, and it is with looking fashionable at balls. And the irony is that's exactly what Ida wants to do, but never mind. And it is not that I do not like balls. Of course I love balls. And it's like not that I do not love clothes. Of course I love clothes, but I can't imagine only thinking about them and only thinking about gentlemen and only thinking about marriage, even though I'm well aware that I must think about it. So I would like you to accompany me now that I am back in Boston. I have my own allowance, and I do hope that we can have a bit of fun with it. And I will introduce you to all the gentlemen, but you mustn't dance more than once with them. That's the way it's done, because if you dance more than once with them, people will think that you are too common. Do not worry, I will tell you everything. Just please come as soon as you can! Exclamation mark, exclamation mark. Mariana.
George is at the Lowe's general store and he is like moving stock, right? Nobody's there. I mean, none of his friends are there. They're off in Boston. And he's in Arlingham and he's moving stock and he's got some of the newspapers. They've got the Boston newspaper and he looks at it and he kind of goes through it because he gets distracted by things. And he's looking through and he sees this beautiful, it's like the society pages. And there's this picture of Ida and also Mariana. And it's at a dance, it's at a ball. He doesn't know exactly, he can't see who they're dancing with, but there's like, they're all like, oh, that's very fancy. All the sort of people. No, there's Lily. Oh, and he kind of just like sees these folks at this ball and he kind of sees them and he writes a little note and he goes, Dear Ida, I hope all is well with you in Boston. I saw you in the paper. You looked amazing. The hair ribbon, perfectly done. How's Mariana? Have you spoken to her recently? Anyway, the shop's doing well. Your father speaks, he keeps talking about how well you're doing in Boston. Uh, I'm jealous. It sounds like you're having a grand time. Anyway, the shop's doing well. George,
Can I
Oh,
play my
no.
monologue token on George?
Please, if you weren't, I was gonna.
hope Ida gets it. I haven't heard from Mariana in a while. I imagine she's very busy with all that she's doing. Isaac, I saw his name in the paper. It's in a small spot, but that's good. Everybody seems to be doing so well. I wonder if they even remember me. I sometimes don't even feel like I'm really here. Like I was in a dream and they all woke up and I'm still here. It was when Mariana didn't take my handkerchief. I guess that was her way of saying that she wasn't interested anymore. I guess. It's okay. I'll get to Boston, maybe. I don't even know, but I have work to do for a while, I guess. I just want Mariana to know that I'm still a gentleman. I should go check in on Isaac's family and see how they're doing. You know what? I think I'm gonna go down to our spot. I forgot to put stuff back in the stocks. And he puts away some of the stock, but he kind of puts it in some of the wrong spots. He's got clippings of like anytime anybody of his friends are sort of like mentioned in the anywhere in there, he's got clippings and he puts it in his little sketchbook. And
Oh my
inside the
God.
sketchbook, of course, you just see drawing after drawing of all of his friends, but also a lot of Mariana. But like they're just these sort of, but all of his friends, including Ida and Isaac, they're all there.
Ah.
On the tail of that, I want to do a short letter. A short letter. This letter is actually from John. John to George. George, I hope that you will consider my proposal. Find it like set out formally below with all the terms, all the hours, and the rate of pay. We have found you over these years, although a little absent-minded, a very reliable worker and good for the store. And you bring people in because you have that charm that, you know, someone should have when they see who shops at the Lowe's store. As I said, my wife and I would like to step back from having to be at the store every day. It is quite onerous on us as the years go by, and I have no wish to be in there day in and out. And I really do see you as a sort of man who might do well managing a store like that, even getting to make decisions about, you know, new things we might stock in the store or even new decorations we might put up. And I hope that you will find the salary that we are offering to be generous. It is quite something more than you are receiving now. It would make us feel comfortable to think that the shop is in good hands, especially since we are considering traveling. Yours fondly, John.
Take a hot air balloon, not a boat. Yes, George. Thank you. Yes, thank you.
Ida writes to Herda. And this is like pretty much getting up to the end of this passage of time. Dear Da, I have heard about the changes with the store and that you are going to be traveling. I have always said that you needed to see more of the world, and I am glad you are taking my advice. Things have been a flurry of activity here in Boston. There's no rest for the wicked, they say. Not that I have been wicked, but that simply I have been busy. And I'm sure you've seen me all over the papers. But all of that aside, I have news, and I wish to share them with you first. I am engaged, and it is to one Tom Becker. I have spoken to you about him. He is an onerous man, as most young men of wealth are. And I have followed your advice and simpered after him like he expected. He has fallen for it like a fly to, well, I shall not mention to what. And it is all progressing quite well. I suspect he thinks that I have no intelligence and only looks. And that is very good. I hope it shall progress smoothly, but I will keep sending you letters to update you should anything happen. He, like most of his peers, has an overblown understanding of his own intelligence, and that has also worked in my favor. So worry not, for soon the nuptial bells shall be ringing. Your daughter, Ida.
Wow.
So this isn't an actual action that I am taking, but I kind of get the feeling that this is gonna drive a wedge between Ida and Mariana.
Oh,
Absolutely.
Okay, good. I just wanted to
I'm
check you're on the
pretty
same
sure.
page about that.
Yeah.
Great.
oh.
From one rival to another rival. This is how I win.
I think I do have my scene on the back of that, but I know that I just did a few things. B, do you have anything in mind for Isaac that you want to jump into?
Yeah, well, I really did. I liked the idea that Isaac had been collecting nylon fabric in particular for probably a year and a half now. And it was with the explicit purpose of like sewing together a like at least the fabric part of the hot air balloon.
Yeah.
And then with like some connections and a little bit of work that they would be able to, get the basket, get the fire part involved as well, and present it as a gift to George. But like it's gonna be like 6 years later. Like
Yeah.
a lot of time has passed. So there's a lot that's like you really just hope that that friend still likes you. Yeah, I'm liking the joys of everyday life or business therein. And I think it would just kind of be
Yeah.
shots of like we've seen Isaac be unsuccessful, be berated, be just walked all over for most of like his life. So I think finally some positive shots of like like as an apprentice, like learning from like the best tailors, apprenticing with seamstresses, just like really getting to experience this fashion world that has been blossoming, but from almost like an underground scene. And it's just like really, really positive scenes of like making new acquaintances, seeing his friends from a distance, like dancing at the balls. Like he's all the way in the back, like in the other room, but still it's like, is that Ida? Yeah. Oh, that's my cousin. Like I made that bow on the dress. Yeah, that was me. It's kind of a big deal. He's truly happy to be a part of society in the capacity that he can. And just like being able to send money back home. The kids there can now wear new clothing. Everybody's fed finally. And even just sending little trinkets back home to family and friends.
I imagine that he knows some things that none of the other tailors and seamstresses actually know. I bet he knows things about fabric because he was there, the making of the fabric itself. But I bet he has these really cool insights that you could only know when you actually worked in a factory, at a mill the entire time, that he could do things that like he has these insights that nobody else has. Yeah.
That makes for like a unique styling too.
like
And like this is like the early years because like I think we're like 22 now if we added an extra year.
Yeah.
So like really trying to get a name and become a name. So it's
Yeah.
almost
Yeah,
recognizable.
and Ida would absolutely actually be in touch with Isaac all the time, like
Ah.
basically getting Isaac to tailor things and to like make pieces for her. But we'll also talk about it. I think that's the thing about Ida is that she is not ashamed. Or she strives to not be ashamed anymore
Aw.
of being this like country girl. And then she also feels a very strong sense of loyalty to her family. So including Isaac.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a storm scene. This is not very long after Ida gets engaged to Tom, and it is pouring with rain. It is a terrible day. So this is happening in Arlingham. The shop has been kind of quiet because it's just quiet when it's storming. Like, who wants to walk through the storm to a store that they can go to literally any time? But then there is like a ring of the bell at the shop door and an extremely drenched woman holding an umbrella, but she's still extremely drenched. Makes
And I bet her
leave.
shoes are muddy because these are not paved streets.
They are muddy. She looks around, and I think it almost takes a split second to notice that it's Mariana. You can see, even though the clothes she wears, it's so different from the kind of clothing that she wore even when she was like 16.
Mariana, you're drenched. And he goes over, and I imagine there's probably like a stove in the corner of the shop because you have to have heating in some kind of a way, right? And he sort of like stokes the fire. He's like, come. And he sort of looks around and he pulls out like the stool that he has and he sort of puts it by the wood burning stove. Please sit. Can I get you something to drink?
Oh, George. And I don't think she answers the question, I think, but she does sit on the stool. The sky was blue when I left Boston, and now here it is. It's pouring, and I had no carriage arranged to take me from the station to the shop. I just thought I'd walk, but it's turned out to be pouring, and there's lightning. And my shoes are so muddy. My dress is muddy. There isn't
He
anything
pulls
for
out his
it.
handkerchief.
George. And she takes it, but
Your
like
shoes?
I think she doesn't even like try to wipe the mud off because in this case, it's like way too much mud to wipe off. Like you couldn't, but I think instead she kind of just like gets some of the rain out of her like hair and her face a little bit.
Everything okay?
I had this idea, all of a sudden that I needed to come and see you. I just felt it. I just felt that I had to see you, George. I just knew that I needed to talk to you, you see. And I got on a train, and it was the sky was blue when I got on the train, and it's storming now, and I'm here and you're here. And George, you look you look like a man, I suppose.
It does tend to happen. The passage of time.
Right, of course. And you must be quite surprised to see me here, I imagine. And
Well,
is it just you here at the shop? That's right. I just
yes.
said you'd take it over. Oh, you're managing the place now.
Managing it, yes. How are you? It's so good to see you. I hope everything's okay. Hi.
Oh yes,
Hello.
yes. Everything is fine. It's just a strange time. I don't know if you heard, but did you know that Ida has gotten engaged to Tom, my cousin Tom?
Yes. It was in the society papers.
Oh,
He's
you
the
read those?
worst.
They're so silly. It's been such an excruciating experience watching it all. I mean, I felt like I hardly knew her half the time, the way she acted around him. I mean, it felt like something different that I hadn't seen, or perhaps I'd seen it, but I'd ignored it because it was there so little of the time. And then something just came over her, and the way she talked to him, and the way that she acted, and he loved it. Of course, he just immediately that side of her, the way she acted around him, and he just he just went in for the whole thing. But to me, I just thought, well, is that really the way she's going to act, for the rest of her life? I just I just didn't like the whole thing. It just happened and it was slow. It wasn't fast at all. It was slow, but it was sort of like when you realize you're falling off a bicycle. I've ridden a bicycle, by the way. Can you imagine that?
Oh, that's
When
amazing.
you're falling off a bicycle, which I did, and you just so slowly falling to one side, and then it takes so long, but you know you can't right yourself, and then eventually you hit the floor. It was like that.
You're not okay. I have hot apple cider.
Oh, yes, I haven't had apple cider since I was here. Oh, you bring some, George. Oh, for both of us, you
Yeah,
must have some too.
I will. Stay right here. Don't go. I'm just
No,
gonna get it from the back. And he looks at you as if to remember exactly how you look in this moment. And he goes in the back, just trying to look just to make sure you won't go away right before he turns the corner. And you can hear, right, some rustling. And he comes back with these two cups and he puts them down. And it's these like they're teacups, but it's like the hot apple cider in there.
when he comes back, she's gotten up to look at the window, and for a split second, it looks like she's gone, but then he can see that she's still there. She's just
Oh,
looking at the window. And she turns back around to come and get the cider. Oh, thank you. I mean, I suppose it's no business of mine. But you know, it's been rather a lot, and it's been constant. It's been all of everything that's been happening, and it's my parents and Tom have just been, and there's this man called Frederick, and I don't understand why. I could have been married by now, you know. I'm 20, I'm almost 22. There's no lack of gentlemen in Boston. I don't know. I'm not.
do you want to get married?
Oh, of course I want to get married. I mean, every lady has to get married.
Well, some of the ladies haven't done.
Oh,
And
don't
he
tell
sort
me
of
you're going to
points
mention
up
Miss
towards
Washington
Caldwell.
again.
Well, yes.
You think I want to end up like that? Of course I will get married. It's just a matter of the gentleman and the timing. The
Right.
timing and the gentleman. And
I mean,
uh,
your father, I guess.
yes, yes, and him and Tom and my mother and
And everybody,
mm, yes, and everybody. Yes.
feelings, thoughts about what you
I
should do.
I would love to offer a resolve token to George
Oh,
for for blurting out a suggestion
I see.
of the
Um,
engagement between George and Mariana.
I will take that resolve token, but I'm going to blurt it out in a very Georgie way, if you don't mind.
That's
Take it.
amazing.
You know, I feel like if you'd have to find the right fellow, and I feel like one of the things that's always been your strength, I thought, is how bold you are. You would go out at night even though you weren't supposed to. You took that really smelly scarecrow and you hid under your covers so that no one would know you were there. I've always been impressed with how brave you are and how you always do what you want to do. And I think you shouldn't I think you should follow your impulses. That if you want to marry someone, then you should marry that someone. And it shouldn't matter what other people think, because some people, they may not have money like they used to, but they have more than they did. But they also have dreams. And I mean, they, I, I, I have dreams. And my dreams always have you in them. Always. If you were so impulsive as to marry somebody that you might want to marry and that person were me, I
George,
would be honored.
are you asking me what I think it is that you are asking me?
I think I'm
Oh,
asking if you're asking me.
I didn't come here
Oh,
just for you to
oh,
because I wanted you to
oh,
ask me that, but no, but I'm glad that you did
wait,
ask me
you
that
didn't want me
because
to ask you that?
no, it's not that I didn't want you to ask me that. It's that I didn't come here just for that reason, but
Oh,
I am glad that you asked me that because I've been thinking about it and I want to take your hand perhaps. May I take your hand?
yes, yes,
Right.
yes, yes.
Um
It's
and
shaking a little bit.
George, I thought about it and I knew that if you asked me that now I couldn't give you an answer. I couldn't, and it's not your fault
Oh,
because you're beautiful and you're
oh,
wonderful and I want so very much to
right.
kiss you, George. I do. But
Really?
it
Oh,
it is not your fault. I cannot give you an answer now. It is simply because I must have a plan, you see, because when I do
oh,
things without thinking about them, well, that's just how we ended up in this situation.
we need to think less and dream more. Because with dreams, everything works out in the end.
Do you really think so? Do you think
I love you, and I've always loved you. And when your father said I couldn't marry you, that you didn't want me to, when he said it was what you wanted, I backed away. But I always loved you.
then let me say yes now. Let me say yes, but we can't tell anybody yet. But you
You will
must
say
promise me
yes.
you will not tell anybody yet. I need to
No
think.
one, not even Isaac.
All right, just Isaac, but do not tell Ida.
Okay, okay. I'm sorry. One moment. Okay. Sorry.
Jo-
I
George, I have to go. I wasn't meant to come actually here. Actually, I'm not. I wasn't meant to come here, but I'm here, and I need to leave. But will you walk me back
oh,
to the station?
yes, yes. Wait. Goes in the back and he comes out with this big coat. Uh, and you probably recognize it as being Ida's dad's coat, John's big coat. And he sort of like wraps it around you. It would be my honor to walk you to the station. I could tell you a
Okay.
story.
Yes, tell me a story and help me be brave, George. For when I return, help me be
Oh,
very brave.
I've never met anyone braver, ever.
And I think that's probably where we end our scene.
I'm screaming. Oh my God, that was amazing.
I'm sure that impulsivity will not cause any trouble
Nope.
with anyone. I hope I just helped aid your bosom enemy.
Thank
Just
you.
hope I helped that out for
Thank
you.
you. Which is why I'm very glad we have a second session. I feel like, well, that's the game. Thanks,
Right?
everyone.
I need to brew on. I need to stew on this.
Yes. My work here is done. I've set my scene. It's yours.
So I think I'm happy to do that awkward dinner.
You can set the scene for us and let us know who's there. Where are we? Who's there? What's the situation?
It's a family dinner at the Becker house. At least one of the Becker parents would be there, and then Ida as well.
B, do you want to jump in to play a wild Becker parent?
Yeah. I was trying to think of like what would
Yes.
the mother be called? But yeah, doesn't
Oh.
matter. Mama Becker.
Excellent.
we-
Amazing.
Would Frederick be there? The theoretical fiance, perhaps, the desired fiance for Mariana.
He is coming later, and so people talking about him
Yeah.
because he's going to arrive.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a nice house.
Since they are new money, that this house is a nice house that has been built relatively recently. Rather than buying somewhere that is like an older property, they've decided that they're going to like show how, what they're bringing to Boston society by building something and a little bit imposing. When I think it's in an area where there is like a lot of new money, I think that people have kind of clustered a little bit in this area to, show that there's a bit of a who's who happening here. While it's an impressive house, this is generally an area of impressive houses. The dining room itself, where they are for this dinner, if you don't mind me adding these details, Agatha, it's been put together kind of over time, because I kind of imagine that Mrs. Becker has sort of developed changing tastes as her role in society has changed. And so she's sort of added different ornamentations, different decorations, different things to this room at different points in time. And it's not like they all match, but the overall effect has been to increase the ostentatiousness of this particular dining room. They don't always use this dining room, like just if it was like just a couple of people eating, but since Tom and Ida are here and Frederick's coming, then this is the dining room for today.
We're using our best china, best
Yes.
dinnerware, best silverware. They've been
Yes.
polished all evening.
Ida is dressed very demurely, to appropriately appeal to in-laws. So it's not as ostentatious as Ida's usual clothing.
You definitely get like
Pretty
a
much
nod
today
of
only.
approval from Mama Becker for that. You know, just your presentation is very fitting.
I would like to specify that the engagement ring is loud. It is big. It is a rock, is what I would like to say. It says that we have money, because that's what new money like to do.
I will display it proudly.
Luxuriant.
I feel like Mariana and Ida are like sat across from each other. And Tom and Mrs. Becker are across from each other. And Mr. Becker would be there, but he had to go to one of the factories. And I feel
Yes,
like
indeed,
Mariana
yes.
is like, she's not in her
Mhm.
pajamas, but like,
Mhm. Mhm.
she's not dressing up for Tom and Ida.
Wow.
I think she is looking at Ida from time to time in a way that is unfriendly,
Oh, drama.
but not when anyone else is looking,
Drama.
obviously.
So, Ida, dear, tell me more about the engagement. I cannot wait for my lovely Mariana to just have the exact same, just all of the love, all the ring. It's beautiful. Tell me more about that ring, please.
Oh, well, Ida will like present, like do this to present it, and say, I know so little about how any of this works, but surely Tom can tell you everything. Tom, can't you? Tom is so smart.
Of course. No. Well, I have to say that, as you know, the textile business that is going so well, I have to say, what is your first name? What is Mama Becker's first name? And I want to say that I really appreciate that since you do not have a son, that you've let me manage many of the textile businesses of the mills, and it is a sign of faith and respect in me that both you and your husband have given that I appreciate very much. And as someone who's going to be responsible, a responsible person, of course, being married is one of the most important things one could do. And when one is going to get married, which is something that says so much about family and responsibility and honoring your parents.
Have you two
and
set a
society.
date?
Oh, not just yet. We've only just gotten engaged, but I hope
Well.
soon. But that diamond ring, by the way, I actually got
Yes.
the diamond imported from overseas, of course. I had
Oh.
it sent out on a ship and it has come back and custom made. And if you can notice the small gems around the edge, they match my darling poodle's eyes, of course.
I never knew you were so
Tom.
fond of diamonds, Ida.
Oh, well, how could I not be when they are from Tom?
I see.
I would be pleased and honored if to continue taking care of the textile mills, and especially now that we'll be settled and responsible.
Well, you'd have to talk to Papa about that, wouldn't he, Mama?
Oh, well, of course, but it would be an honor if you could continue to take over that business. Oh, Mariana, I cannot wait for you to get married.
Oh,
Is there
I believe Frederick is coming tonight, right?
Well, he wasn't he? Looks over at Mariana.
Yes, he sent a card. He was coming after dinner.
Looking at my watch. Look at my grand clock, or grandfather clock on the wall. Well, it's getting late. Mariana, go to the
I'm
window,
sure
please.
he's just waylaid somewhere. Mariana, you've been so quiet and you've eaten so little.
Mariana's impulsiveness is going to come through here because I think she's going to say, Mama, I wanted to ask you something. Do you recall George?
George.
And he's the one whose reputation has been so sullied by his all of his entire wealth has been lost, and I think he now sort of lives
His
as some sort of
parents
pauper.
died at sea.
Well,
Oh, the Attucks boy. Yes,
Yes.
with the parents who perished. So terrible.
I thought it might be
Yes.
very charitable of us to have him stay here for a while with us. I can't imagine he would be too much of an imposition, and it could help him very much with finding a place in Boston.
Well, we're not looking for any new staff.
Mama, he's a friend of the family. I will pay a resolve token if Mariana's mother will accept, but on the condition that she's on her best behavior for Frederick.
Ooh. I would take that token.
Excellent.
Very well, but you must look and behave your very best self for Mr. Collins. That Frederick boy is a really good catch. Don't want you to miss out on this.
Of course, Mama. And she's very embarrassed that this is being said in front of Ida. Thank you, Mama.
Oh, yes. Just like Ida, you have done very well for yourself. I'm very proud of you.
She has.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mrs. Becker. Now, Tom, tell me more about your business.
That feels like where our scene comes to an end before we are imperiled with Tom's lengthy explanations. Have fun, Ida.
Yeah, I think Ida was probably the person to bring up the ring to start with. And was Tom, the other day when I passed by the shop, I saw this, and the diamond was so big. I can't imagine how a diamond could be so big. It was. I just feel like I've never seen that in my life, and I thought, well, whoever gets it would really be the luckiest woman alive. Anyway, how is your toast?
I'm just trying to paint a picture of because I don't know. I feel like Isaac's had a lot of really solid, good, really great things happen. What? Yeah. I want something bad.
And your bosom enemy is about poor boundaries, right?
Yeah.
So it could be kind of it could be like a sort of like a bachelor, one of the many bachelor parties where
Tom sucks.
Oh god.
I know, he really does. Yeah.
Oh my god.
So maybe Tom, Frederick, and then of course Isaac is an upcoming name, so you want to have Isaac there as well, so we could talk about clothing, and a nice
weird
sort of maybe in a third wheel.
Okay.
Oh my god.
So
let's
set the scene.
Okay. So let's
Where are we right now in this scene?
Okay. I'm gentleman's club, but I don't. I don't know how historically accurate we're going.
I mean, there are definitely clubs.
It's a swanky establishment for sure.
Yeah.
We've got a booth. We're all probably smoking cigars. It smells horrible.
Yes.
Isaac is so uncomfortable. He's been nursing the same drink since the evening started, just awkwardly taking sips while trying to ha, 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 laugh at some of the jokes and nod enthusiastically to just everything that Tom and Frederick are saying. But it's the price of fitting in is an uncomfortable one.
Tom says something like, you know, we have a lot of opportunities for someone with your skill set if you play along and sort of be a bit more one of the boys.
Yeah, one of the boys. Yeah, I mean, I'm so good at that. You know, one of the boys.
So maybe there's a a series of commotions just outside of this space, and then you kind of hear this angry whisper, like, you are not supposed to be here.
Yeah.
And then the door kind of pushes open,
Mhm.
and Minnie is there. Your eyes immediately meet. You see her kind of in the middle of getting pulled away by one of the servers that work here.
Oh wow, that person does not belong here.
Well,
Oh no.
absolutely not. How embarrassing.
Oh
Ugh,
yeah.
who is
Yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah. Gonna do my
Isaac!
best to oh no. Does
Uh,
anybody hear my name being called?
She's
that
getting
woman
pulled
has
away.
got dye on her fingers. Like, what is that?
Isaac
I have to,
Brown, I need to speak to you.
and
then
he will stand up at that, almost automatically. I have to go to the bath. I have to go to I'm gonna. This evening has been so wonderful. Thank you. Just what are the guys?
Wait, Isaac, you can't. Should we get her thrown out?
I'm gonna handle that. Yeah, that's.
Do you know her, Isaac? Says Freddie.
No, no. I definitely don't. Not a clue, Frederick. That's just I'm just gonna go help with I gotta go. Just starts to backpedal.
Isaac, before you should probably stay with us. We wanted to talk about the problem that's George.
George is not a problem. You think he's?
I think he is. You should stay with us. Forget that crazy woman, whoever that
Minnie
is.
starts coughing, that kind of
Um,
lung hacking cough.
Oh
Yeah,
no!
yeah. Oh, I love Agatha so much right now.
Well, Tom, just if he doesn't know her, just let him go and get rid of her, and then we can talk about George all we need to.
Yeah. You know what?
All
Next
right.
round of drinks on me. You know what? Bartender, how do I say? The drinks order, the order of the drinks. The next one's I will pay for the next one.
I'd like a sherry.
Two.
Make it 3, and scoots towards Minnie. What are you doing here? You can't be here. Please, come on. I have to escort you out, ma'am. Let's go.
Yeah, Minnie will go with you as soon as you're coming here.
Face red, so embarrassed. What was that? You can't just walk into a club like that. I was trying to fit in.
It's your father. He's been in an accident.
Daz, is he okay?
Not sure that he can walk again. I can offer you a token for that. If you accept, then that'll be true. But it can also not be true.
I like the drama of it. I don't have a proper image of who this father figure is, so yes.
Not sure he can walk again.
Oh.
It's at the factory.
I'll pack my things. Let's go.
And then Wilson start coughing again, but puts a hand up I'm fine. Oh, while hacking her lungs out.
Isaac will kind of look back at the establishment. Okay, I can't go back in there. Gotta make a choice. And he will turn to Aunt Minnie and pat her on the back as she kind of walks and coughs.
Poor Isaac. What a moment. Right, so we've got one more scene to do as part of our passage of time. Trooper, you get to set this one for George.
Oh, poor
Yes.
sweet George.
So I'm inspired a little bit by Charles Dickinson's Bleak House, where people have these dreams of inheriting money, but like it stays in probate for over 100 years. And by the time like the court case is resolved, like everybody's dead and it like there's no money left, right? So this kind of dreaming and fantasizing about this other time to be. So what I'm thinking is I kind of want, because we're thinking about his bosom enemy of imagination, which can lead to inaction. So I'm thinking about a scene with his family's lawyer. He's been needing to do some kind of paperwork, some kind of dealing with some stuff, and he just hasn't been, and it's been a long time, and he still is not doing it, and he's sort of been called in to see the lawyer. The lawyer, who I would love to be played by one of you lovely people, is trying to get him to maybe stop spending money looking for the parents, maybe start actually doing something rather than not doing anything, because it's getting sort of a critical moment.
I mean, and you have to be able to think about your future. You know, a man of your age and station in society has to be able to provide for your family, which, you know, you've got to be starting a family soon, right?
Well, but I'm waiting for word back about my parents.
Can't wait forever. There's a deadline on these things, don't you know?
Well, I don't have to sign the paperwork now, do I?
I mean, you should have signed it 10 years ago.
Right, but if I sign it, then I acknowledge that they're dead, and I mean they'll be coming back any time.
Son, it has been it has been some time now, and if they are not back yet, they are never coming back.
I mean,
waving the papers.
They could come back in.
I would like to offer a resolve token here. My resolve token is for the lawyer to tell George that whatever like vessel that his parents were in has been found. It was completely like wrecked, and like his parents specifically haven't been found, but the vessel, the wreck has been found, and so this makes it both more likely that his parents are actually dead, although, you know, we know that's already highly likely, but also gives a specific location as to where they would have been. And I think the lawyer has been trying not to tell him this information, but in this moment, it's the only thing they can think of.
Yeah.
You're never gonna, like, your parents are never coming back. And the lawyer kind of like rustles his hair for a second. You know what? George, I have something. And he kind of goes to one of the filing cabinets, starts to rustle through.
Is it Word?
It's Word, all right. And he pulls out a newspaper article that has been clipped out from, I don't know, we'll say like a month ago, but it's written in German, and it says, you know, the name of the shipwreck found on shores of, oh my God, I don't know enough about geography.
Cape Verde? Like, that's like an island in the Atlantic, right?
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's where the shipwreck has been found. And the lawyer kind of like loosely translates to you. This is your parents' ship. This is the one they were on.
So they could have escaped, right? They could have like swam to somewhere. They could be on an island anywhere. They could be alive and just waiting to be rescued.
They could also be bloated bodies in the ocean. The world ain't so kind. Look, you need to sign these. I'm gonna have to draft up another document. It's just getting expensive, and like they're not coming back. It's just you, and you have to move forward. You gotta pull yourself up by your own bootstraps.
You're right. I have to move forward. Thank you, Mr. Calvary. I walk out without signing the paperwork.
Son, come on. Oh, dang it. Oh, gosh, I gotta send more mail.
I think what happened is that I think he went missing is what happened.
Did he leave at the end?
Yes.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, I think he went missing. I think he
You left
I think
Mariana?
he went to find his parents. I think he went to find his parents. He was inspired by her
I
impulsiveness.
thought I was the
and
villain of
he-
the story.
I'm just telling you. I think what happens, he found out about the Cape Verde, and I think, especially if that balloon was made, I think he left. I think he went to go and find his parents, and he's been gone for the last couple of years.
Aw.
My earned resolve token was used against me.
Oh no! Is it against you or is
right.
it against me? I'm just saying.
Or everybody. It's against. So all
Yeah,
right.
against
So
everybody.
he's gonna come back from his journey when we get to the adult
Yeah.
chat. Okay. So he's been gone
Yes.
for
So
2 years. This
seeker.
greatly influences me. This is huge.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Great. Good
And
luck.
also that means he
I'm
also
married
abandoned the
to
shop.
Frederick. Thanks a lot.
Oh no! No!
We're engaged. We're not
No,
married
do
yet.
it. I think it's deliciously
married?
terrible. I love it. It's the
All right.
worst.
I like the
I
engagement.
love it.
The
It's the-
engagement gives a will they, won't they with you two, though.
Yes. I think that George actually writes letters to Isaac in these 2 years.
Oh, that's destroying
Now-
me.
Great.
Now he's like, they're not consistent because he's on a hot air balloon. There's a lot of stuff going on over the course of the 2 years. So this is going to be probably 8-9 months after he's left. Dearest Isaac, hello, chum. It's I, George. I hope all is well. Thank you so much for I know I've said this before, but thank you so much for the hot air balloon. It's something I've always wanted since I was a child, and you sewing it and putting it together and giving it to me is one of the best gifts anyone's ever given me. And I want you to know that I'm looking for my parents. I haven't found them yet. I'm on my way to Cape Verde, where my family's lawyer said they could be found. The shipwreck was near there, and nowhere near there yet. It's actually a lot longer and more difficult to get places on a hot air balloon than I thought. But I'm doing okay. Everything is great. And the things I've seen storms at night in the sea. I've seen boats and ships. I've seen islands, people from all over. I've never left New England before, and I'm seeing things I never imagined. I know you and I are good chums, and I appreciate you always being there for me and being like a big brother. I hope Ida's all right, and Mariana too. I'm really excited about when we get back getting married. I know that it'll be a perfect wedding when we get back. I just have to find my folks, and then everything will be all right. I know it will be. You should tell me how you're doing. You can send a letter to... Oh, I don't know, actually. Well, I'll send you another letter, and I know everyone's doing well there, so just give everyone my love, and I will see you when I get back, and I can't imagine anything will have changed. Anyway, Isaac, thank you for always being there for me. I am going to find my parents, and then everything will be all right. I know it. Yours in fast friendship always, your best friend, George.
It's like 4 or 5 pages.
Amazing.
Yeah, like one maybe every
I super
5
want to
months.
offer a resolve
Yeah.
token for Ida to have to find this and then burn the
Ooh.
letter.
Yes!
I would probably want it to show both of you, but like I'm just not managing my time very well or my like anything. So like one of the times that Ida was just in my room tidying up after my
Yeah,
stuff, like
yeah.
these letters were just strewn
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you want to offer up a resolve
Mhm.
token to birth them, sure.
Yeah, I don't know who I should
Yes!
offer that to. Maybe
Oh,
to
I think Mariana.
George?
George.
George, okay.
All right. And that actually brings us to the end of our passage of time. These are all things that happened. So we are now 6 years older. So we are going to do the transition to adulthood. So the way that works is that we are going to make some changes to our character to reflect who they are now. So first, we're obviously going to update their ages and update the ages of their connection as well. There is a few changes to your character to consider. So I'll give you a rundown on those, and then you can go ahead and do it. Firstly, your childhood character role is no more. And instead, you're going to have a adulthood character role. There is many adult roles to choose from. And this is kind of like, it speaks to a bit about who you are, but also more importantly, your place in the world and how other people see you. The other thing your character will get is a desire, similar to a desire in Good Society. So this is something that your character, as opposed to your castle in the air, which is like this big thing that your character might want to achieve one day, but it's like a pipe dream, right? Your desire is what you want right now. This is the thing that your character is trying to achieve right now. If you find that your family background has changed as a result of what's happened in the story, you can change that. I think the only person that's really relevant to might be Ida, because you're now marrying into new money, so you could change your family background if you want to, since you're becoming part of that family. The last thing is to you can establish or change a relationship. So again, this can be something that you do to reflect a change. Like I could change my relationship to Ida, to rivals, or whatever it is our relationship is now. Or it can be something that you do to create a change.